Welcome to the Dynasty One podcast. I'm your host, Carl Safchik, and today I'm joined by somebody whose voice you may have never heard, but he's been the new guy behind the curtain, the new producer, the new audio editor, and that is Shane Burnett. How you doing tonight, Shane?
Pretty good, Carl. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to finally talk to you. So the reason that everybody is hearing Shane, and we'll hear from a lot of different people today, it is our 1-year anniversary podcast. You may notice it is episode 51. We did take a week off, I think the week after the Super Bowl. I don't really remember. But this is the 52nd week of the Dynasty One podcast, and time flies. And you'll get to talk to everybody that's been involved with the podcast in the past throughout the day. And we'll begin with Shane. So, Shane, the theme of today is what have you learned in the past year? What has changed your mind in the Dynasty scope? What have you learned in the past 365 days?
That is a big question to take in. I think what I've learned is people's values will change so quickly in Dynasty. The rookies obviously bring in a lot of hype. I think I'm putting most of my focus into an orphan league I took over last year. And it's interesting to see the value of Dynasty picks. If you have them, no one wants to pay you for what people think they should be worth in different forms. If you're trying to buy them, people want the world for them. They want a huge, massive overpay. So just trying to find that medium, that balance, and trying to see where you can find value, I think, is, for me, the hardest part, and what I've learned trying to read and react to different owners in my different leagues.
So are you a buyer of rookie picks? Are you a seller? What's different this year with rookie picks than it has been in the past?
Well, I think for me personally, obviously the last year or two, the 2017 class has been really hyped. Now, I don't think it's lived up to the name as much as it should have been. Obviously, we have some names like, Nick Chubb and Cortland Sutton, who were rumored to possibly be coming out in this 2017 draft, but we know they're staying in for at least one more year, should be eligible for the 2018 draft. So those are just a couple names that were supposed to make the 2017 picks that much more valuable. And it depends on my league. I don't usually buy rookie picks. I'd rather try to buy known commodities and try to win that way. Now, with that being said, as referenced, I have that orphan league where I own, I think, 7 or 8 of the top 32 picks. Only because it's a rebuild, so I'm trying to rebuild, and I'm probably going to pick all of those. There is one league where I'm a perennial playoff team and top 3 team. Usually, I have 2 first-round picks. I'm trying to actually package those and move up, but so far, no biters. So to really say if I'm a buyer or a seller, it's going to depend on the league. But in general, I'm a seller. I don't really buy picks, and even in this class, I'm not really going out of my way to shop and check the price on picks.
Yeah, I think it matters a lot, not only which league you're in, because of how your opponents value picks, the situation you're in. If you're a rebuilder, obviously, in your orphan team league, you're trying to get picks. In your perennial playoff league, you don't have a lot of need for it because you're already good. You want to add to that. I wanted to ask you, when we're talking about picks, are we still jaded from that awesome 2014 class? Because the 2015 class, Todd Gurley's not doing great. Devontae Parker is not showing what we thought he would. Kevin White has been pretty much injured the whole time. Same with Brashad Perriman. Philip Dorsett, my boy, didn't live up to the hype. Even the 3 running backs at the end of the first, TJ Yeldon and Amir Abdullah and Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman's been okay, but really outside of Amari Cooper and to a certain extent a little bit of Melvin Gordon this year, you have the busts of Nelson Aguilar, you have the busts of Dorial Green-Beckham. And then this past year, Ezekiel Elliott was a freak, but outside of that, really, what did we get out of the first round? Maybe Michael Thomas at the end. That was
Michael
great.
Thomas, maybe a small sampling of Sterling Shepard, but other than that,
right. So we saw this 2014 class that had a lot of analysts thumping their chests about how valuable rookie draft picks are and how great you could do if you just flip your roster and just take draft picks. But it really is a hit or miss scenario. Are we still jaded from that 2014 class, or were the past two classes unlucky?
I think the past two classes were probably the normal. The 2014 class, I don't think it was really expected. I'm trying to think back. I don't really recall too much hype, outside of maybe Sammy Watkins, I think Mike Evans had a little bit of hype that year too, but no one was really talking about Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, a little bit, but more because of his injury coming out. I think what we're seeing from the 2015 and 2016 class is to be expected. You're going to have one or two hits that we're going to see something right out of the gate, and it's just going to be team dependent. Where landing spot is the major factor for those guys. I think this year is probably the 2017 class. We obviously don't know yet, but the 2016 class was kind of, for lack of a better term, touted as not quite some how do I want to phrase this? A class that's wasn't expected to live up to any type of hype. It was really, people were down on that class, the 2016 class. You had your Ezekiel Elliott, and Michael Thomas wasn't even a name that was thrown out there. It was Laquan Treadwell, right? It was going to be the guy. That was supposed to come out, but I mean,
and Doxson and Coleman and Fuller and all of those. So it sounds like if I can, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you are trying to remind people of the 2014 class when you're trying to trade picks away. Maybe not directly, but in the sense that I really think that year made people love rookie picks again. They forgot that Trent Richardson and Doug Martin and RG3 all fell off, and they forgot the year that everybody took Mark Ingram over Julio Jones and AJ Green. Like the rookie picks can, I mean, it's like hitting the lottery, because if you drafted Michael Thomas, let's say in a startup in the 7th or 8th or 10th round last year, or you were a contending team towards the end of your rookie draft, or you were a contending team resulting in getting a pick at the end of the rookie draft, you lucked into Michael Thomas. But outside of that, it sounds like you are selling just the whole concept of dynasty rookie picks.
Yes and no. I would agree with you about the 2014 class. I think in general, I would say a good rule of thumb, the top 3 picks usually in every rookie draft usually hold some sort of value. Even last year's class, because depending on the depth of the class or depth of your league rather, it was obviously Ezekiel Elliott, perhaps, one of the ones we mentioned, Treadwell, Coleman. Some had Derrick Henry up there if you're in a running back heavy scoring league. So there was a few that were up there. In this class, overall, I don't buy into the hype. I guess to answer your question, I don't buy into the rookie hype. But I know many people do. So having to have the new shiny toy, as it were, is actually huge. And if you can find a buyer that's willing to overpay, sell it. Now, I'm not advocating going out and selling all your rookie picks, because even if you're guaranteed to have a top 3, top 4 pick this year, there's no guarantee that pick is going to work out for you.
I want to ask you, who is your 101? And I want to get an idea of how you're valuing not just that player, but just the 101 in general. Would you trade that pick for, let's say, a guy we were just talking about, Michael Thomas?
Ooh, would I trade the 101 for Michael Thomas? Probably. I would too. I would prefer Michael Thomas. And I think this year in particular, you have 5 or 6 different guys that people can make a reasonable case for being the 101. Yeah, absolutely. And actually, if I own the 101, I'm trying to do all I can to trade down to the 103, 104 spot and maybe pick up an extra 2018 first or something like that. Because for me, I don't have the 101 in any of my leagues. I do have the 102 and 103, in the aforementioned orphan league. And I'm actually trying to trade down from the 102 in hopes of trying to pick up another first or another, some sort of value. Because for me, you asked who my 101 would be. If I had to pick somebody, it'd probably be Leonard Fournette. I know Christian McCaffrey is getting a lot of buzz right now, and he seems to be climbing up a lot of people's draft boards. Not that I don't agree with that or disagree with it. And I'm not completely on the zero running back train, but if I'm trying to build a team, I like to build around wide receivers. So since Leonard Fournette would be my 101, I wouldn't mind having him on my team. But if I'm not close to competing yet, I'm trading down to try to pick up another asset and then snag one of the wide receivers that I'd rather have.
I totally agree. Shane, thank you so much for coming on. As you know, we got a lot of people coming on today, and you'll get the first listen for all of them, as you've done a wonderful job putting all of our podcasts together. People don't realize how hard of a job it is, especially with me slipping a curse word here and there, and all the technical problems we have, and putting together all the little segments. So I want to say thank you for joining the team. You've been around for what, like 2-3 months now, and I'm glad to finally get you on.
About 3 months. Yeah, thanks for having me. And don't worry, Carl. The listeners know that you always sound perfect.
And in addition to you, and I want to do this before everybody turns it off before the end of the show, there are a few other people that we won't have on the show that I feel that we really need to thank. And obviously, Jake Gell, who is our content editor, deserves a lot of praise. Jesse Patterson, who does a lot of writing for us and listens to every show religiously and gives us some awesome ideas. He should definitely be recognized. Rumford Johnny, he was a supporter of the show before there ever was a show, helped us make a logo and do all kinds of stuff, helped us promote it. Kevin O'Brien has helped us with a lot of different projects we've done. So I want to give those 4 guys some credit too. As you won't hear their voices, but they are integral parts of the Dynasty One podcast team as well. But on the other side, we will be joined by someone who used to do Shane's job, and that's Jason Blanton. We'll be back in just a second. Awesome. Thanks, dude.
Cool. Perfect. No problem.
All right, man. You have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.